Hello and welcome to In The Treehouse, where me, Coach Mike Connor here in North Georgia, meet with business owners and we talk about life and dreams and challenges and all of that sort of fun stuff, just real authentic conversations. And I have a good friend of mine, Trey Quattlebaum, with me today. So I'm super excited to chat with Trey and talk about his life. Before we do that, a couple of housekeeping things. Certainly want to call out my company, Action Coach, here in North Georgia, working with small businesses, medium businesses, larger businesses to make sure that you are building that business so you can get out of the business and enjoy the fruit and the abundance of the work that you do. And so very excited about helping business owners to really achieve the dreams that they have for themselves and for their families. So if you want to have a better life, grow your business and get out of your business, drop me a message and we'll talk. Our other sponsor is Fist Bump. Fist Bump is the producer of our shows, all the people who are behind the scenes and actually make all of this happen, because I don't have the technical skills to do that. But they are back there and making it all happen. Fist Bump is that company where they help you turn your reputation into revenue. So they build you as an expert in your field, get you out there through LinkedIn, through other medium, so that your clients start to see you as the person that they need to talk to. They build your reputation, they get you going, and that turns into revenue. So great marketing tool. Reach out to Fist Bump. All the housekeeping's done. So Trey, glad to have you here with us.
Thanks. Yeah.
So we're in the treehouse, kind of. The treehouse is right behind you. But when you were a kid, right, 8, 10, 12 years old, we all had a place where, whether it was a treehouse or something, we were going to conquer the world. We had big dreams. We were going to be this or that. What was your treehouse, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I didn't have a tree house. I just hung out in the woods behind the house or in the neighborhood, and I actually wanted to be a mountain man.
A mountain man. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So,
hence the beard.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And I wanted to run around the mountains and live in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And
wow. Where was this?
I was in Buford,
Georgia. Oh, so not far from where we are right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. Wow. I think about I used to live in the Adirondacks, right? And they told stories about some of the old timers who were off grid.
Yeah.
You ever hear of French Louis?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, crazy guy.
I read a lot of books about westward expansion, especially over the Appalachians and into Tennessee Valley and all that kind of stuff, and into Kentucky, and then all the way out to out west in the Rockies, and the Lewis and trappers experiences out there and all that. It's kind of my guilty pleasure right there.
Yeah. So. Now, was your family, was your dad or other people, were they like outdoorsy folks?
Not at all.
No?
No. Well, my mom was and my stepfather was. We did a lot of camping growing up. And I was in Boy Scouts. Yeah. So we did a lot of backpacking, high adventure stuff. I taught summer camp at Rainy Mountain for several years to help them start their trek program, which is like a week-long backpacking and canoeing and water rafting stuff. Yeah. So I was outside all the time. Yeah. My dad's not. He's outdoors for him is golf. So, yeah. Okay.
All right. Very cool. Have you ever had the opportunity to do some of that, trapping or any of that sort of thing?
No, most of my outdoor experience is just backpacking and getting out in the remote areas. So, yeah.
Very cool. My dad grew up in northern Missouri, and they were fairly poor, dirt farmers back in the 30s and 40s. And one of the ways that they would make extra money is they had traps, and they would trap mink and muskrat and sell the pelts. It's not that far removed. Yeah. That used to be a lifestyle for folks.
So it's funny because when I was younger, I told my dad that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And he was like, I don't think you're going to make any money doing that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not a thing. And then as I got older and the internet and TV shows, there's, the Discovery Channel has the guys that live up in Alaska or even Idaho, and they go out and trap beavers, and that's what they do for a living. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could have done that. So.
And you still could.
The wife's not going to. Yeah,
you have a wife and daughters now. They may not want to join you in that.
Yeah.
So, well, but that's cool. I've never had anybody who's like, yeah, I wanted to be a mountain man. I wanted to live off grid and all that. So
just live in the woods and have my personal space.
I'm going to keep this in the back of my mind as we're talking about different things that you're doing and where you want to go. Because probably somewhere out there is your place to be able to do that.
Yeah,
I would venture to say your dream, one of your dreams, is to have that place still where you can go.
Yeah, right now it's kind of I've always kind of wanted to have a big piece of land. And that's still something I want. But at the same time, like, I'm kind of gotten interested in the sailing and like kind of getting out and maybe not doing like round the world stuff, but going to the Bahamas and the Caribbean and sailing around there. But talk about space, man. You can't get any. There's no neighbors on the Atlantic Ocean. So.
Have you been sailing?
A few times, small craft. And I have a little laser sailboat, which is the kind they race in the Olympics, but it's like a one person. Yeah. And took it out and was just like, man, this is so much fun. And now I need something bigger.
Where do you sail?
Allatoona.
Okay.
In the fall when nobody else is on the lake.
Because we're like, and we don't live that far from each other.
No,
I mean, we're kind of halfway between Allatoona and Lake Lanier.
Yeah.
Right? So you could go almost to either one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and Lake Lanier's got some big sailing clubs over there.
They do.
So
they do.
Yeah.
But it also gets a little crazy. You probably don't want to be on there.
Yeah, it's completely different from when I grew up over there. So
yeah. So cool. And so you grew up in Buford, right? Went to high school at Buford High?
No, I went to North Gwinnett.
Okay. So, okay. All right. And so after high school, you decided you weren't going to be a mountain man. What'd you do?
So got out of high school and started wiring houses for Spurlock Electric, and delivering pizzas on the weekends. So I was working 2 jobs, and then did that for a little while, and then decided I went to work for summer camp again, Rainy Mountain, and I'd met up with a bunch of people I'd known when I was younger in Boy Scouts, and they were all going to college, and I decided, hey, I need to do something with my life. And never been a fan of school, so I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to join the Army. Yeah. And so I did that and joined up in January, or went to basic training in January 2002. So it was right after 9/11.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow. A lot of guys who were signing up right then too.
Well, I signed up before 9/11. Signed up in August.
Oh, really?
Before 9/11. Then 9/11 happened, and I was actually at my buddy's house that I'd signed up with. Yeah. And we called the recruiter that day, and we're like, "Are you going to bring us in early or what?" And he's like, "No, your dates are your dates."
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When that happened, what were your thoughts? Were you like, yeah, we're ready to go now? Or did you have any hesitancy at that point? Because, the entire world changed on 9/11, 2001. Yeah. It just, boom, in the blink of an eye, things changed.
There wasn't any hesitancy. I kind of knew what I was getting into. I walked into the recruiter's office and said I wanted to be infantry, airborne, and I wanted to go to the 82nd. So there wasn't like they were like, sure, sign right here. Yeah. And I mean, I knew what I was getting into. It wasn't a matter of like, if, it was a matter of when. Yeah. So you were in the 82nd Airborne. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. That's quite a regiment. Yeah. Yeah. So paratrooper. Yep. So I have to imagine you probably saw a little bit of action. Yeah. My first tour was in July of 2002. So I went basic training, airborne school, week of leave, reported to the unit on June 7th, 2002, landed in Kandahar in July 7th, 2002. So it was a pretty quick turnaround there. But that was the first tour. Then I did another tour in Iraq the following year, and then another shorter one in Afghanistan in 2004 before I got out.
Yeah.
And then spent a year out of the military and did another 6 years in the Georgia National Guard.
Yeah.
So
wow. Well, thank you for your service. Definitely. And and coincidentally, I mean, today, you know what today is? Oh, you should know. June 6th.
D-Day.
D-Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the commemoration of D-Day in 1944, I think, wasn't it? It was 43.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And that time, thousands of young men did that. So for the freedoms that we have. So thank you.
Yeah.
So you were in for 3 years?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And when you came out, you were completely prepared to enter the world.
Absolutely. No issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Solid employee. Absolutely not. I got out and I was still wanting to be an electrician. Tried to apply for a bunch of jobs. It was 2005.
Yeah.
And my buddies that I'd gone to high school with, they had, stayed doing electrical work. And basically what I was told was, good luck finding a job. Like if you're worth your weight, then we're getting handed out to other companies that have work so they can keep us on payroll. Yeah. But they're not hiring anybody. And because that was right before 2008.
Yeah.
We could kind of see it coming.
Yeah.
And it rolled on through. I went to Athens Technical College for electrical construction and maintenance for a little while, and then worked in a electric motor shop, rebuilding electric motors for a little while.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, 2008 was a tough time.
Yeah, I got lucky because I had joined the National Guard shortly before then, and we were ramping up for deployment back to Afghanistan. So they sent me through a bunch of training. And I was working, doing Walmart CCTVs overnight and traveling and doing that. So basically that work ended in November to February because that's the holiday season. Yeah. And in November we were told we were going to go. So I got a bunch of orders to go to training. And then the next year, 2009, we were ramping up and I basically went full time and then overseas again. So
how long were you on that tour?
We went, when did we leave? I think it was spring of 2009. And then I got hit with an IED on Halloween in 2009. And then I got sent back home right before Christmas or right after Christmas to Fort Gordon for physical therapy and stuff like that. So
I don't know that I knew that you had gotten hit with an IED.
Yeah.
And that's something you share very often. Wow.
Yeah, we got my MRAP got hit and I was the gunner. Basically, I smacked my face on a 50 cal and then went back into the back of the turret and looked up. My 240 was coming down, so I ducked back in and it came right back in the hole, so it would have hit me. But I pierced my lip on the 50 cal, and then I had some severe whiplash.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about headaches that you've never had in your entire life.
Yeah.
Just from wearing my helmet and my Kevlar vest.
Yeah.
IVA. So yeah, I couldn't wear any of my equipment, so they sent me home to get physical therapy and everything like that. Went through Germany, got assessed, went to Fort Gordon, and spent 3 months there.
Wow. And
once I got done with that, it was kind of a similar thing where construction hadn't really come back from what it was. And so I put myself through the police academy using my GI Bill, and I was a police officer for 3 years.
Okay.
So going back into construction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good. Yeah, so that experience probably like, okay, I'm done with military. I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, and the Army had changed so much since I'd joined in 2002. I mean, it's a decade later, and a decade of going to different countries and, different leadership. And it was,
yeah. Rather than going to defeat, it was more like just bring peace about and that sort of, yeah. Well, so you're a police officer, locally, which,
Milledgeville, Georgia. So it's South Georgia.
get rid of here, get out of here. Yeah.
So I worked for the city for a little while, and I also worked for Georgia College. That's
Okay.
there, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. But all the while wanting to get back into construction, which is getting us to where we're close to where we are today.
Yeah.
But you didn't go straight into House Doctor, which is what you own.
I went.
A
buddy of mine called me up and said, "Hey, we're hiring high-rise maintenance engineer." So I went to go work and do that. Did that for about 4 years. Was up in the ceiling of the high-rise doing some work and threw my back out. And I was like, well, maybe it's time to stop wearing tool belts and climbing ladders. I mean, it didn't help that I was out of shape. But, I mean, So I went back to school and used my GI Bill to go to Kennesaw State for construction project management, and was doing that and like full time. And then my wife lost her job, and so then I went back to work and became a assistant project manager for a company and ran some projects for them.
Now, was that KOMPAN?
No, that's not KOMPAN. So I worked, that was Astra Group, and they do a lot of stuff. They've done like the belt line around Atlanta and that kind of stuff. And I was doing some work for MARTA at their bus station in Perry, or off of Perry Boulevard. And then I kind of got recruited by Yanmar to do product specialist so I applied for that and got that job. So then I worked in their agricultural department doing project management and product development. Like I helped develop certain attachments to go onto tractors and everything like that. And then there was a change of leadership there. So I started looking again and ended up in KOMPAN and worked for them doing large scale playgrounds and small to large scale playgrounds.
Which is, we're getting there, but that's kind of how we eventually met, because another one of my clients that has told me he's going to come on the show, but I haven't gotten him on yet. So
he called me yesterday. I called him back.
Yeah.
He hasn't
called you back yet. Michael Lynch, great guy, friend of both of us, owns L Squared Playgrounds and builds playgrounds and splash pads all over the country. And we're going to get him on the show. I was talking with him earlier this morning. It's like, Michael, when you coming on the show? Yeah. He was supposed to come on last week, by the way. And then he called me up. He's like, oh, Mike, I feel so bad. I forgot that, he and his wife were going out of town. It's okay. So we'll get him on soon. But you were working for KOMPAN, which is large playground manufacturer.
So,
and I love the whole idea of building playgrounds. I just think that that's the coolest thing.
It is until you do it. That's like my wife always tells me that my resume looks like I've done every job that any little boy has ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
So military, police officer. I was a volunteer firefighter for a little while.
So was I.
And that was fun. Some fires. Yeah. I've worked for tractors. I've built things. Yeah, no, I don't know how to do that.
Well,
the wife's not going to go for the mountain man thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. One of our coaching sessions coming up. We'll figure out a way to do that. Yeah.
So so then after years of project management, I was like, I should do this for myself.
Yeah.
And then so I started looking at how to do that, and the opportunity came up to buy House Doctors. Yeah. And so I purchased House Doctors.
Yeah. And that was just last fall.
Yeah, November of last year. September of last year.
Yeah. So tell folks a little about House Doctors in case they don't know what House Doctors are.
So
this is your opportunity to plug and advertise and get some free marketing. So
so House Doctors is a handyman company, and we specialize in small to medium-sized projects around the house. We do everything from changing out light fixtures and plumbing fixtures, to drywall repairs, basement finishing, just kind of everything. The honey-do list.
Yeah.
If your honey's not doing it, like, give us a call and we'll do it for you.
Yeah. And there are a lot of handyman services out there, but you are differentiated from many of them in several ways.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're insured.
Yeah.
We offer warranty, a 12-month warranty on craftsmanship.
Yeah.
All the guys that do the work for me directly. Yeah. They're not subcontractors.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, typically if you're getting an estimate, it's either me or one of my guys. And if they give you the estimate, they're probably going to be doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get to meet who's going to be in your house before you
absolutely
get there.
And it's not just like some fly-by-night, who has a pickup truck, who's going through the neighborhood and dropping off, business cards or flyers in the mailbox. Hey, we'll do repairs for you, and giving you the rock bottom price.
Yeah.
Right. So in fact, so we were talking the other day, right, about the idea of pricing with handyman services.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's one of the challenges you face, because you're not the cheapest guy on the block.
Nope.
Right. And as your coach, I don't want you to be the cheapest guy on the block, but you are the greatest value.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you present that value and what differentiates you from those others.
Right. So we do very high quality work. Every job that we do, we approach it like we're doing the work in our own house. Right. Yeah. And I don't want my wife seeing something that I've done and be like, you need to fix that again.
Yeah.
Right. So, we make sure that our quality is good.
Yeah.
We back our quality up. If you call me and say you have a problem with something that we did, I'll come out there personally and take a look at it, and then we'll get somebody out there to fix it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I'll even move other jobs to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
And then we have phone numbers on the internet. There's, you can call the office. You can call me.
Yeah.
We're able to get a hold of.
And House Doctors has been around for a while. Even though you bought the franchise last year, this particular office has been open
since 2001.
Yeah. So 24 years
2001,
now.
It was Andy on call up until the early 2020s. And then House Doctors bought Andy on call, and they've been a House Doctors.
Yeah. So longevity. Right. Mm-hmm. This morning I heard a story at my Rotary meeting that we had this charity that they come into people's homes and help do repairs that they can't afford to. Right. Yeah. And they talked about one particular, person that had hired a contractor to come in, and, their floors were sagging, and there had been, 30, 40 years of deferred maintenance. And so they went out, took a loan, hired a contractor to come in. Contractor demoed everything, took the money, and left. Right? Yeah. Which is, unfortunately, something you guys end up having to deal with, right? Because there are people out there. And I think that's what I want to emphasize is you're not going to be one of these people that takes people money and gone. You have the longevity. You've been around. You have history in the community, you support the community, and people can still find you.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually did a deck job last week where the customer had somebody come in and prep the deck for stain and then completely disappeared.
Yeah.
Didn't finish the job.
Yeah.
So we went in, and they said that was last year or something like that. So we went in and did it all. And I was like, look, I'm not collecting a check until Monday when we complete the job.
Yeah.
So
we'll
be back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Unless the job's over a certain price range, which is about $2,000, $2,500, we're looking at, we don't. If it's that high, we'll look at materials deposits, but we're not collecting the complete
labor and all
until
that
it's done.
Until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very good. So you bought a franchise, right? And it's a good franchise. I don't want to disparage. I've bought a franchise, right? Action Coach is a franchise, the largest business coaching franchise in the world. And can I put a plug in for myself, by the way? Because you know what this is going to be. I learned a week ago, I'm the number 8 practice in the United States, and I'm number 40 globally. So out of, thousands of practices globally, I hit number 40. I'm pretty proud of that. Thank you all. But franchises have some challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And some folks who are out there are looking to probably buy franchises, right? Yeah. Franchises are not necessarily for everybody, right? Yeah. And so as you have learned, what are some things that you would say, just, do it if it's right for you, but make sure you look into this and that. What have been some pain points that you,
So I would say starting off, you need to find a franchise consultant or somebody that can help you look into the franchise that knows it better than you.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be able to take your goals from what you're trying to do and find the right franchise for you.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you may make some mistakes and purchase something that is different than what your intended goal was. And that's something I did not do. I didn't hire a franchise consultant. Yeah. And I would make sure I would do my homework on the franchise consultant because I'm sure there's some out there that are just there to help sell franchises.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would take a look at the franchise consultant and
by the way, they don't make money off of you. They get the money off of the franchise, right?
I don't know how that works, honestly, because I didn't do it. I worked with, there was a broker contacted me, or a sales rep contacted me about it, and I talked to them, and I spoke to the owners, and it sounded, it was, hey, this is a pretty good deal for the territory that I'm looking at, and I think I can make this work. Yeah. And so that's what went into it. I think with a franchise consultant, they understand more of what you're looking at, and know other franchises, so they can compare the models against each other and make sure that works for you.
Yeah. And the analogy I think of is, like a real estate broker.
Yeah.
Right. When you're looking for a house, you want somebody who is doing a lot of the looking and saying, okay, here's, from what you've told me you want, here's a list of homes for you to come and take a look at.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what the franchise consultant does. Is they get to know you, get to know what your aspirations are, where you want to go, and then present to you multiple options.
Yeah. And then while you're in your due diligence to do the franchise, I think at least consulting with a business coach like yourself. Yeah. It would be.
Say that again.
Consulting. Yeah. So, I mean, because there's, the franchise is going to train you on their systems and their standards and everything. But at the end of the day, it's your business.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that what your goals are that you have in mind for that business works for that model.
Yeah.
And understand, it's easier to have somebody ask you questions that maybe you didn't know to ask yourself, to build that kind of plan out.
Yeah.
And then when you go into, starting that franchise, you have a roadmap going into it instead of
that like I did. Your aspirations, not theirs.
Yeah, that I did where, I went into it and I was like, okay, let's make some money.
Yeah.
And, we've made a little bit of money, but not much. But it's taken me 8 months now to take a step back and get there and develop that
well, and even to dig a little bit deeper, and I don't want to, pull up past wounds.
Yeah.
But, as we worked together, as you started with House Doctors, they had a business coach that you were working with was a franchise coach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. But it was different than when we started working together.
Yeah. So, the franchise they're the franchise.
Yeah.
Their business is the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you're going to look out for your business, they're going to look out for their business.
Yeah.
And they have a certain model that they want you to fit in, but at the same time, the model may not fit there's going to be different things with each location.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that the model doesn't work. It's that it might need a little difference here or there to work for your location.
Right.
For example, in Georgia, you have to have licenses for electrical, plumbing, and HVAC,
Mm-hmm.
right? In other states, you don't need that.
Right.
You can get into more in-depth things than we are allowed to here. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think even fundamentally, a franchise coach is going to help you, and there are, almost every franchisee that I talk to, there's a franchise coach.
Mm-hmm.
Dora is working with them. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, I got a coach. I don't, I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
And I have to help them when I can to understand that franchise coach is good at helping you fulfill the franchise's goals.
Yeah.
Right. That franchise coach is probably not working with you on what your goals and your aspirations are.
Right.
Where do you and your family want to go?
Right.
Right. And this franchise is just a tool to get to where you want to go.
Right. And there are a ton of franchise owners
Mm-hmm.
that own other businesses outside the franchise.
Yes.
And so, when you're looking at that, if your goal is to own one business and that franchise works for you,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe you don't need a coach.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to be something bigger than that franchise, and the franchise is a part of that, or a stepping stone to that, then look at a coach. And that's why I'm saying, when you're looking in that discovery process with your franchise consultant, talk to a business coach.
Yeah.
Because they're going to ask some hard questions. And the franchise consultant's going to help you find a franchise,
mm-hmm.
but they may not help you find the goals that you want.
Yeah.
And so that business coach can say, okay, here's what you want. Now you take that to the franchise coach or the franchise consultant. The franchise consultant takes that and finds the right franchise. Right. It's like, I'm not going to buy a house.
Yeah.
Go back to your analogy. I'm not going to buy a house without consulting what my wife wants in the house.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I bought a house, it'd be like 50 acres, 3-bedroom, old brick ranch.
Yeah.
And if I presented that to my wife and said, hey, look, I just bought this house, we'd probably, we'd have some issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then that business coach can also take that franchise and the models that they have and help it work into your lifestyle and everything.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't work against a franchise.
Yeah.
Right. By any means, my goal for folks that I work with who are in franchises is franchises always put out the list of their top, just like I'm number 8, US and number 40. I love working with people. It's like, okay, where are you on that list? Right.
Yeah.
How do we get you to number 1?
Yeah.
Right. And the franchise coach may help you, but I can tell you, I help individuals really because we start talking about some detailed things with how you're marketing, how you're selling, how you're getting return customers, all of that actually builds your bottom line.
Yeah, and you need to build that. We were discussing the other day, my process right now is bringing customers in, or what's my workflow from a customer calling to getting on the job.
Yeah.
And then we discussed on Tuesday, my return market or repeat marketing to those customers that we've had and all that is kind of failed.
Yeah.
And we've made a lot of changes in the last 8 months.
Yeah.
So or 6 months. So we're still trying to figure out the front process, but now that's on my mind.
Yeah.
To say, hey, how do we start doing this on the back end?
Yeah.
To keep build that repeat business so that we're not reliant on the paid advertising that we're doing with lead aggregators and other things.
The most profitable customer is a repeat customer.
Right. Cost acquisition drops every time you visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, so you're 8 months in,
mm-hmm.
and And I think you are probably your harshest critic, because oftentimes 8 months in, it's oftentimes a year, 2 years before you're actually breaking even in a franchise, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's a very, high cash flow type of thing, but you're doing pretty well for even 8 months in. I know you're not where you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. I think we're on the verge of where we can be at. There was a lot of discoveries that I made when I actually stepped back and looked at it from the outside and started like reevaluating certain things I was doing. That helped me get there. I wish I had known it early on. I would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of heartache and a lot of stress to get to this point. And I'd probably be doing a little bit better, to be honest, because I would have made some better decisions at that time. But yeah, I mean, we're getting there. I think, depending on how the winter goes, I think we'll be okay starting in next year in the spring.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't think I know you will. Because I'll kick your ass if you don't. So the other person that you didn't mention when you're looking at a franchise is an attorney.
Oh yeah, I did not mention that because I didn't do it. I forgot. But that, you're absolutely right. A good attorney to review the franchise agreement before you start going through that. And then you need to make sure you're getting a hold of all the documents that are mentioned in the franchise agreement. So, because you want to understand what you're being held to. So,
isn't it amazing how, and present company accepted, right? People will buy a business or a franchise, and not do these very fundamental things. They're willing to invest tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not spend $500 on an attorney to take a look at the documents.
I used to jump out of perfectly good airplanes, so I mean, I was more of a risk taker when I was younger, but and it kind of depends on where you're at. Like, sometimes you get to a spot where you're looking for a change and you want it fast. And you may not know these things. So I sure didn't. I didn't know there was franchise consultants until after I started talking to franchise owners, and I was like, that would have been a good idea. If I was looking at it, and if I was looking to purchase a franchise, I should have talked to a franchise consultant. Because maybe there were other opportunities out there that I don't know about. I mean, that's the thing about networking in general across the board is you don't know what you don't know. But there's other people out there that know it. And if you can get in touch with those people and find out, then it can open your whole world.
Absolutely. So what is one thing that you'd say right now is something that's keeping you, maybe personally, maybe business, from actually achieving what you want to do? And I might be crying here about whatever we talk about in our next coaching session. but I think, knowing that, we have authentic conversations, and business is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So what is your growing edge right now? What's your pain point?
Digital marketing is a pain point for me right now.
Really?
And I think that's my next big fix. Right. So we're doing SEO on our website and all that kind of stuff, but we need to be relevant and at the top of Google, whether it's paid for advertising and all that. And I had some issues with my last digital advertising, but at the same time, as a business owner, you have a lot of irons in the fire that you got to tend, and some of them are burning and melting, and the other ones you're like, oh, this one, I'll use this one today. And that's always held me back. But at the same time, sometimes you just get disgruntled or down, and you gotta get and that can hold you back too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and I think, right now, the pains after the winter and the early spring, and I am kind of in a funk.
Yeah.
Which I'm starting to come out of, but
Yeah,
at the same
yeah.
time, that still slows things down. You're not looking at things in a good light, and so, talking to people and all that, and kind of getting the plan going. And,
well, and talking with people, I think that's also part of the remedy.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think there are a lot of businesses and business owners out there who simply think that they can pay someone thousands of dollars for digital marketing.
Yeah.
And it will grow their business.
Yeah.
There's
some large companies that think that.
Yeah, there are. And yet at the end of the day, especially when you're a small business,
Mm-hmm.
and you've learned this over the past 4 months that we've been working together,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting your business how?
It's all either networking, or the majority of our work comes from lead aggregators like Angie's List.
Yeah, yeah.
So right now,
yeah,
we did, our SEO is improving on our website, but our digital marketing, when we were paying thousands of dollars for pay-per-click leads, we were only getting like 5 or 6 leads a week that were actually actionable, that were where somebody spoke to somebody to get an estimate or left a message that we could call back and get something back, where, we would have 200 calls in a month.
Yeah.
Only 20 of those were actual leads, but we're paying for all 200 calls.
Yeah. Yeah. And those 20 leads, I mean, your conversion rate on those is not 100%.
Mm-mm. It's I found that any paid advertising, if you're over 20, or like if you're Angie's List or pay-per-click, if you're over 25%, you're probably doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Angie's List, they send it out to several different contractors, and you're competing across the board on that.
Yeah.
So, and all lead generators are like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but I think at the end of the day, the reality is building a business requires hard work of the business owner to actually get out there. Or if it's a turnkey business, it requires somebody to actually be out doing the sales. You cannot just, close your eyes, pick somebody that popped up on your Facebook ad that says, I'll give you, this kind of conversion rate on your pay-per-click, and pay them thousands of dollars. The reality is, folks, that does not work, regardless of what those marketing people say.
Yeah, some of the businesses that I've seen lately that do the best after starting are people that already have networks of people.
Yeah.
And so, if you're starting a business, look at joining like networking groups, BNI, go to some chamber events, and start building those networks.
Yes.
Even if you don't know what that business is, just start meeting people.
Yes. And
getting out there, so that when you do start, so that was one of the things that I didn't have when I worked for KOMPAN and built playgrounds for 3.5, 4 years. I traveled around the Southeast and the U.S. To all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of my time was spent traveling. So even at home, when I was at home, I didn't go network. I didn't network with anybody.
Yeah.
And then, some of the guys that opened up with me at the same time, they're doing much better because they have those network connections already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I started from scratch. Besides my network of, nationwide playground contractors.
Yeah.
So
it's, I was in the same situation, right? I mean, I was, chief of staff for this $1 billion business unit, part of a, multi-billion-dollar corporation, right?
Yeah.
So I knew a lot of people in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And when I left that, and then like here, it's like, oh, I know nobody, right? And so you have to develop that relationship. If you don't, you're dead in the water.
It's just going to be harder for you. You're not dead in the water. You're just going to struggle getting up. You're going to pay for more work to get out there. and then you're going to realize you need to network, and then you're going to start networking, but you're already behind the ball.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and let me throw another thing out there. And you got my email a week ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know about networking events, I have started putting together a monthly email of networking events here in kind of the North Georgia area, including Gwinnett and some things in Cobb and Forsyth and Fulton County. And if you realize you need to be networking, again, drop me a message. I will send you that email. I'll put you on the email list so that you'll get, the 5, 6, 7, I don't know however many I put on there, networking events where you can meet other people and grow your business.
But the other thing, maybe business ownership is not for you.
Yeah.
But the thing with networking is, and I've got a member of my BNI group. He had lost his job, and he joined BNI to see what might be out there, and to network. And he ended up subbing before he actually joined 11 times for other members of the group.
Interesting.
And then became one of the primary salespeople for one of the companies in the group.
And
he's doing great. So the networking is not just for business owners.
Right.
It's also, in BNI, you're going to find a group of people that also do a bunch of different stuff. So if you don't have a handyman, for instance, there might be a handyman in your group, or somebody might know somebody else. And then just getting to find or talking to other people can help open up opportunities that you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
So
networking is just critical.
I mean, and it's for every job.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know what you're going to need. Or what you're going to do.
Yeah. So I see, and checking out time. This time it's flown.
Yeah.
It's like crazy how fun conversation. It's just like, wow, where's the time go? But we're kind of here in the treehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a chance to dream. We have a chance to be like, this is what I want to be when I grow up. This is where I want to go. What's your dream now that you're 25? What do you want to? Where do you want to go from here?
So, that's kind of up in the air still. But I mean, ultimately, I've always looked at like my revenue streams as multi-channel, right? Never put all your eggs in one basket.
Sure.
So there's that, and trying to figure out what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But with that, to open up other revenue streams, I've got to have time to do that.
Yeah.
And as a new business owner, I'm primarily working in on House Doctors. So that needs to get to a point where I can pull myself away and do some other things. Yeah. But I mean, I think
for your family, what's your dream for your family?
I mean, I would like to travel more with my family and go to interesting places besides,
That's you.
the U.S. Yeah. So, and my wife wants to go to Europe and do all that over there. So, yeah. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. I've been to Europe a couple times. I like the interesting kind of far away from the main tourist hubs of like London and Paris. Not like I want to get, go to the Scottish Highlands or go to, out in Ireland somewhere, Germany and I've been to the Czech Republic. That was the blast. I loved it there. Yeah. So
we have a bucket list for our family that we want to do a bicycle tour of Ireland.
Oh,
right. Yeah. Because Ireland is a small enough island, and they have these programs where they'll set you up with a bicycle, and somebody who's out of shape like me, they'll set you up with an electric bicycle, so I don't have to kill myself.
Yeah.
And they'll take your luggage from one end to the next every day, so you don't have to haul it, and you're just kind of bicycling around, and you stop at the local Irish pub for lunch, and you really get to see the country. And so that would be cool. That's a bucket list for us.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So my bucket list right now is to like go to the Caribbean and sail around for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And island hop and just be out in the middle of nowhere and not have neighbors. Yeah. And
Well, thank you for coming into the treehouse today.
No problem.
Any last parting shot you want to? Anything that you, as people are watching, anything that you would say? Hey, this is what I've learned. This is what you need to think about. If not, it's fine.
I'm trying to think. Not really.
Yeah.
Not,
Okay.
not that I can think
Your
of.
coach needs to work on you better to give you some.
Well, I mean,
We've hit a lot of.
yeah, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is to, if you're interested in something, find somebody who's already doing it and talk to them, or somebody who knows about it before you jump in with both feet.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Yeah, and I mean, like, my wife will tell you, I am the researchaholic. Like, I get online and I do all kinds of stuff, and model things, and I mean, we're talking about like random stuff.
Yeah.
I'll go down a rabbit hole on YouTube for a week on how to fly ultralight aircraft just because I thought it looked interesting. But at the same time, like, find somebody that knows about it or is doing it if you're really going to do it. So you're not going to go follow, even though ultralight aircraft don't require a pilot's license. You probably shouldn't jump into one and try to fly it without maybe going and getting some training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you're not just going to find a house for sale, walk in and make an offer.
Yeah.
Find some people who have been there, done that, know what they're doing, can offer you some point of views, and just make sure that person has your best interests at heart too. Because there's people out there that it's not that they're going to try to take advantage of you, but they might not know that. What they're
absolutely.
So,
yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on and having a chat. I appreciate it. So, if you want to get in touch with Trey, you can message me here in LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. I'll put you in touch with him. Share his contact information. You can find House Doctors. It is House Doctors of Woodstock.
Yeah, House Doctors of Woodstock. Or it's House Doctors Woodstock GA.com.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
All right. So if you Google it, you can find Trey, and he will help you out and make sure that your home repairs are done right. Thank you all for joining us this week. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you joining us, and we will be back here next week. Have some great guests who are coming up. Working on some details for next week, so I can't share who it will be. The following week, we actually have Steve Napier, who's the executive director of Habitat for Humanity for North Georgia. Great guy. We'll be talking about habitat and some of the things that they're doing. They're doing great stuff, big stuff here in North Georgia. Huge things. So excited about bringing him on. We'll get Mike Lynch on one of these days. And
he's a busy man during the summer.
He's a busy man.
Construction season.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you all for being with us, and we will see you next week. Bye.